Hi YouTube, how you all going? Just thought I'd do a quick video update because I've finally registered for my first ever ultramarathon. For those of you who read my blog, you would have seen about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I posted an article saying that I was looking at doing an ultramarathon, wanted to register for one in the next couple of months. Ideally, this will kind of act, I guess, as a bit of training towards World's Toughest Mudder. Or if I'm unable to go to that for whatever reason, then another ultra towards the end of the year where, I have a better idea of how my body copes with running these distances and be able to set some goals for myself. So as this is kind of my introduction to ultra running, I wanted to choose one that was relatively easy, in quotation marks, if you can ever say that an ultra is easy. But so with that, I guess the main requirements for me was something that was relatively flat, something that offered good aid checkpoints and everything, and also one that wasn't, I guess, logistically challenging. There's a lot of ultras that you run from point A to point B, and it's like a whole planning exercise in terms of working out what you put in each drop bag that the race organisers drop at each station. And because this is my first one, obviously I don't know how I'm going to feel and how it's all going to work out. So I just wanted one that was relatively straightforward to get that experience in my legs, and then, in coming years I can tackle something that's maybe a little bit more technically challenging in terms of the course, and also logistically challenging in terms of working out what needs to be done and when. So because of my time frame, ideally, I wanted one around July, August. June, July, August was kind of like the months I was hoping to run. So there was the Gold Coast 100, which is the one I've actually chosen. It's on the 9th of June, and it's a 12.5k out, 12.5k back, so a 25k loop, and you obviously do that 4 times. The course is also flat, which is good, as I've just outlined the reasons why. The other options were the Centennial Park in Sydney and the Tan in Melbourne. They're a little bit later on in the year. I think they're August and September. And I mean, they would be, if they were maybe a couple of months earlier, they would have been something that I looked at a little bit more closely. But the other thing that kind of put me off was that it is a looped course again, but the loops are very short, and I think you end up doing like 30 laps. So I'm just not sure how I'd cope with running 30 laps mentally. I know, like in my training, when I do hill repeats or sprints, anything like that, once I get halfway, mentally you're just like, wow, I'm halfway. So I know it's always still the same distance, it's 50 kilometers, but just how this Gold Coast one works, in my mind, I think, okay, laps 1 and 2 are going to be fairly straightforward. That, takes you to 50 Ks. Lap 3 is going to be the hard one. It's like that 50 to 75k where you're like, wow, I'm going beyond, I'm running a considerable distance now. How is my body coping? How am I coping mentally? But I know once you get through that 3rd lap, you're onto the 4th lap and it's the home straight. So even if you're suffering, I guess deep down in your mind, you're like, it's the final lap, you just got to do it. So I'm hoping that's kind of how it works out. I know you can never plan these things, but and I know from reading a lot, from other people who've done ultras, that you always get a low point in a race. So the way I kind of envisage it happening is that laps 1 and 2, that'll take me to 50 Ks, as I say. So that should be fairly straightforward with how my training's geared. It'll be lap 3 where it starts to get hard. And lap 4 obviously will be hard as well, but by lap 4 you're on the home straight. So hopefully that kind of that can spur you on to keep going, really. For those of you who've watched my previous videos, I've never actually, as I said at the start, this is my first ultra, so I haven't done an official ultra as such, but I have done the World's Toughest Mudder, which was a 24-hour event. I covered 80 kilometers during that time. It's an obstacle race, so obviously it's not directly transferable, and also you had rest breaks and you stopped at your tent to restock, so it wasn't flat out running. But I think the thing I've learned from that is that mentally I can keep going. I'm not someone who wants to stop or wants to quit. So fingers crossed it all goes to plan. As I said, 9th of June. I'm not jumping into this like willy-nilly, in case any of you don't know me think that. My coach, who I've had since December last year, I consulted with him. He thinks I'm capable of doing it. It's just a matter of obviously turning up on the day and hoping things go to plan. So not aiming for like a record time or, you know, trying to finish in a certain position. Last year I think there was about 25 people who did this race. Runs in conjunction with a marathon, a half marathon, a 10K, a 50K and a 50 mile, I think. So there'll be like lots of other runners there doing their thing. But for me, it's purely, let's just do a 100-kilometer race. Let's finish that 100 kilometers. Let's learn from this event. Let's see how the body handles it. How good has my training been? And, you know, it'll provide feedback, essentially, and we can take it from there. So that's it, guys. Just wanted to let you know that I've registered for that one. I think it's going to be good fun. And, yeah, 6 or 7 weeks away, so not a lot of time left to go. Thanks again, guys. Please rate, comment, subscribe, follow this journey as well, and I'll keep you posted.